I gotta say, this loss is not on Josh Allen, and I really, it's the same thing with the Ravens loss. Like that loss is not on Lamar.
Mm.
Mark Andrews can't catch a ball to save his life, whatever. And this loss cannot be on Josh Allen because he's dealing with what Mahomes dealt with in the Super Bowl. Like they had at least on that team against the Bucks, because at least in that game they did have some weapons, but he had no O line and he was running for his life. And in this situation, he just didn't have any weapons to throw to. Like Dalton Kincaid, I had some people, I was like, they had no weapons, and they're like, oh, don't make excuses. They had Amari Cooper and Dalton Kincaid. Like, are we serious? Like, Amari Cooper is so inconsistent. They telling me like he's gonna get going in the cold. Like DeAndre Hopkins on our side, the
Mm.
older receiver, could barely play. And then Dalton Kincaid, I was looking at it like he's had at most like 60 yards like in a game all season, and he hasn't had over 5 catches or 55 yards since October. Like, so outside of
Oh.
James Cook, like there's literally no one else on this team doing anything for this offense to get going. Curtis Samuel had a horrible drop. I think that was one of the times they had to punt it. And you look at the Chiefs, like coming out of the half, I will say we did get, I mean, I'd say the first play, the first drive, we kind of got our goal of, killing clock. And then the second drive out of the
Mm.
half, it was because of the penalty false start, and then there's that horrible drop by Hollywood Brown. I mean, Mahomes hits him and he can't catch it. He steps out of bounds. But outside of, and then again, not Mahomes' fault, but outside of those two drives, we scored every drive, or it was the fumble by Mahomes. So you know, just having that consistency, you have to have that consistency. I mean, there's also to end the half they kneeled it out, but it was coming out. It was a touchdown, then the Mahomes fumble, then another touchdown, then another touchdown. Then we had to end a half. Then we punted, but we killed clock, which was the goal. And then we punted again, which was dropped by Hollywood Brown. And then a touchdown, field goal, and then end of the game. So like you kind of have to score every single drive. Like it's just gonna be what it's gonna be, and it's just there were too many times when I mean you see it's not the first time that the Bills had to turnover on downs. I think they were turnover downs early, or what that was. Yeah, they had another turnover of downs later in the game with that 4th and 5. He couldn't hit. Yeah, Kincaid has that drop, so that
Mm-hmm.
was a fourth down as well. So it's not like, I mean, it obviously makes sense because he dropped it, but it's just consistently throughout the game we kept pushing them to their edge, and they couldn't. I mean, coming out the gate, it was a punt, and then a field goal. So it just took so it was so hard for them to score. I mean, you look at I'm trying to see here. Every time they scored, I want to say it was like 7 to 10 plays. Yeah, 7, 8, 9 plays. So that's, I mean, you technically you have like 3 downs and stuff. You like they're using most of their downs to get every score that they can. So I just I just think that the defense, kind of didn't necessarily have their number. Like they weren't shutting them down, but the Chiefs are definitely a bend don't break, and we didn't get the turnover that we wanted from them. But the turnover on downs counted pretty much as those turnovers.
No, I mean, yeah, that's getting the possession back for the offense at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. But do you think that you would have won this game in the Biden administration? Because people forget that Trump was like in the
Oh
bidding for the
gosh,
bills at one point. So I don't know if he's the one that I don't know if one of the executive orders that he signed was just for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl,
that's
because it
crazy.
does seem like, I mean, again, to go back to the
We
refs, like,
won two in the Biden one. What do you mean?
well, I don't know if he's got a vendetta against the Bills because he was
Actually,
trying to
three.
own the Bills at one point. I don't know if one of his
That's
executive
funny.
orders was the Chiefs have to beat the Bills in the conference championship game.
That's
But
funny.
uh, I mean, do you feel that this run is going to be tainted at all by the referee stuff in this game? Like, do you think your team has outplayed the fact that there has definitely been some favorable calls? Because I mean, again, it's like
Look,
undeniable that these things have gone your way.
there has been things that gone our way, but there's definitely things that went against us in this game. I mean, you look at that down that with the reason that we did punt. I think our only punt of the game was because of a flag against us. When you look at, they had two 2-point
The one
conversions. One
time
of
they
them
actually
was
called
because
a
we hit the
penalty on you
kicker.
guys, what you're saying?
Was a punt. Well, there's also the time that we hit their kicker and they had a 2 point conversion. Now they couldn't cash that in. That's on them. But they got a 2 point conversion or on the one line because of a penalty flag. Um, and you do. I mean, I will say they. I mean, obviously they got um, more penalties than us, but it was one more. They had one more penalty than us. Like it's like, and so it's like if we want to make up a reason to it and we don't want to admit that they're just better, then yeah, I mean it's penalties, it's whatever. But like at what point at what point are they better? And the funny thing is everyone I've seen so much discourse about, and mind you, it's a lot of discourse, which means a lot of people are talking about the NFL. A lot of discourse of like this football is dead. I can't watch this. I'm gonna watch this as a WWE. Guess what? We miss Cavs versus Warriors right now. The numbers are missing it right now. If it's an OKC Cavs final, no one's watching it. I'm telling you right now, no one's watched compared to LeBron versus Curry. We had Patriots, Tom Brady taking it to another Super Bowl. Like you're telling me no one cared about, like no one wanted to see that. Like
People
it's
did
it's
get sick of
very
Tom Brady
good.
after a while. People did
People
get
did
sick of
get
it.
sick, but they weren't turning it off. I'm telling you, like what with the Atlanta game, that Philly game, Seahawks game, like it makes for really good TV. So first of all, it's
Alabama
really good for
Clemson.
entertainment. So exactly how many times they're going. So like people are talking, oh, football's dead. No, trust me, football is more alive than ever. You're watching it more than ever. That's why we watch women's basketball. Because Caitlin Clark, she was dominant, and people love to see dominant stuff, whether they like it or hate it. They want to love it or hate it. So that's first of all, eliminating the football is dead. But also, I mean, it just feels to me so disrespectful to the people who put in their time, effort, and days on end to be like, yeah, it's all rigged. It's all rigged. No one put a single ounce of talent. Like Pat Mahomes, if he whirled out there, he would have won anyway. Like, obviously, there has to be some level of talent to win these games. And I think just in the discourse, it kind of gets lost, and it's like, oh, and then you have people hating on the Chiefs because of their misogyny, because of Taylor Swift in the stands. It's like, all right, y'all got to deal with your own issues. That's a whole nother sect of haters. So we got so many sects of haters. It's just like, all right. And then thankfully, we're playing the Eagles, and the Eagles fans just keep shooting themselves in the foot. So,
Yeah, the
I
one
mean,
fan base
both
that
teams,
the
like, no one
rest of
can
the
really go
NFL
in.
maybe hates worse.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can't even pick who to cheer for. And then people are like, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. It's like, all right, yeah, sure. Sure you're not. But I just I just think that it was a close game. I will say the defense, I'll say the Chiefs underplayed. We underplayed what we should have. The Bills overperformed in this game. We should have been blowing out this team. We
Mm.
were up 21-10. We came out of the half and we punted it away. Our defense consistently held them to third and fourth downs time and time again. I wish I had the advanced stats of how many times it went to fourth and third and fourth downs, but it was. I mean, if you watch the game time and time again, we held them to really close games. They did it outside of that Matt Collins throw, which was again a third down, a cut busted play, and then there was one in the back of the end zone, another busted play. Like those are like, and the first one, I mean, I'll say he was right on him. That was just such a good throw. That was all Josh Allen. I don't think it was really the defense messing up. Like they did mess up because they fouled him. And then the second time, that was the defense messing up. So like honestly, I'd say there was one clear error in the whole game from the defense. But beyond that, we kept holding them to really long fourth, third, and fourth downs, and they never exposed us really on anything. So I don't know what more the defense could do. It was just more the offense. I could see like there's definitely some issue. We didn't have a run game at all. I will say like it definitely was a little Xavier Worthy reliant. I wish we had DeAndre Hopkins and maybe Kelsey more involved. I think he definitely should have gone to Kelsey a little bit more. Um, so I'd say we underperformed in this game, and yeah, I mean, yeah, we got lucky with one call, but it's funny how people are pointing to one call out of the whole game because they got calls on all there. Most of the calls were legit. Like if you watch the game, most of the calls, like the PIs, they had a couple face masks. There were some face masks for us that they didn't call. So I just think it's just there were articles written about the Pats and the refs helping them. I mean, everyone's seen the clip of what was it, Chris Jones tapping Tom Brady, and it's called roughing the
When
passer
he
in
hits him
like
on the
a
helmet
big
barely.
game, like the exactly like he barely touches it. Like the Pats got the same kind of calls. Yes, it's exactly the same like the Pats, except they actually cheated, and that's all I'm saying. It's documented cheating. So. I'm just saying, one of them cheating out and one's not. So I don't know what more people want from Mahomes. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get a call or two. That happens in every single sport. And yeah, I don't. I mean, if you can't, there were clear moments that he could have won, and I'm just saying, it wasn't like it was all down to one moment. Like if they got that first down, the Bills are guaranteed to win.
Do the Bills need to pull like a Ryan Grigson, what he did when they lost in the AFC conference game to the Patriots, and do they need to snitch on the league? I would never say that a team should snitch, but I'm just saying there's literally nothing else that they can do to beat this team. Like Grigson had to be like, hey, Brady's trying to deflate the footballs, and then the only thing that happened was he got Brady 4 games vacation to start the year next year, and then I guess Patriots lost a draft pick, but they couldn't get a first-round draft pick to save their life with Belichick for the run at the end there anyways. So
did they win that year?
They won the Super Bowl that year. Yeah, I think that was the Atlanta Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, okay.
So it all, if Buffalo did that, yeah, I mean, Chiefs are probably just gonna 4-peat at that point. Just run it back again.
And to blame the refs is to take blame off of the horrible Bills front office that gave Josh Allen no options. A guy walking around with no shoes and some Sesame Street costume is their highest receiving guy with he had 2 plays. Half of his yards is off of 1 touchdown. Like, I don't
okay, but the problem
how...
is the Chiefs are on the other side. It's not like the Chiefs are the other it's not like they have a ton of great weapons. Like they obviously have Kelsey, who's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you guys have
Juju Smith-Schuster. He was like a number 1 on the Patriots.
Not a good one.
Well, he still played as a number 1. He showed up in this game, several catches.
You're telling me he was one of the 32 best receivers in the league when he was on New England? That's not true.
I'm not saying he was, but I'm saying he played number 1. But I will say he's definitely one of the better number 2 options.
Yeah, they had a terrible receiving corps.
Who, the Patriots? Yeah, but he is a legit number 2 wide receiver, and he has shown the ceiling to be a number 1 when he's healthy. Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah, he just didn't have a lot of. They didn't get to the ball to him that often. He had 2 out of 3 targets.
Like him because he's good
Hollywood
on the Chiefs,
Brown. No, I've loved Juju ever since he was at USC and he had a screw in his arm. I was on record talking about how the Steelers should keep Juju, and I have loved Juju since he was on the Steelers.
You've been Juju day one.
I've loved Juju.
Sure. But
yeah,
is Hollywood Brown that much better than Shakir?
And then everyone was calling him a bum. No, but he's their 3rd or 4th option. Samaj P. I love. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Worthy's pretty good.
Xavier Worthy? He's been good all year.
I'm just saying, is he that much better? A dog. Where it's Josh Allen's at
the point is
disadvantage with weapons. Obviously they didn't.
I do think Josh Allen is at a huge disadvantage. Yeah, I think Xavier Worthy. He has speed that literally no one has ever shown in the NFL. At least at the draft combine. He's just flat out been the fastest guy there. I think Hollywood Brown in the right situations can be a really good wide receiver. One of his weaknesses was on full display, which is, being a possession guy, actually catching the ball, and it being 100%. But when he's on the run and he's doing stuff, he's good too. I think he's just getting healthy. Kelsey, we know who Kelsey is. This game, he wasn't his game. I guess Mahomes didn't go to him much. And then I love so much that P. Ryan was the guy who won the game for us, just because I think he was on the team that beat us to go to the Super Bowl. So it's just poetic that he's winning. Yeah, that Bengals team. The last time we actually got stopped at this point. And then DeAndre Hopkins, he's the exact opposite of Hollywood Brown. He doesn't have the wheels, but if you need someone to catch the ball, he'll get his hand on it. So and then Kareem Hunt, we already know who he is. So. Okay, but you're picking the 6th guy off of it versus what's supposed to be the number 1 guy on the other team.
Hopkins is your number 2.
You telling me Kelsey?
Hopkins is what, your 3rd receiver, starting receiver.
He is a starting, but Xavier Worthy is the most used one by far. And he showed up in this game.
Worthy, Brown, and Hopkins are your main 3, right?
Well, Kelsey I'd consider a receiver. Yeah, he's the number 1 receiver. Kelsey should be our number 1 receiver. He is our number 1. And then you got Xavier Worthy, fastest guy in the league. And then you start going to others.
But if you factor in the running backs, if you factor in James Cook, is Cook better than Kelsey right now?
You don't think that's different? Well, no, but he was the only one who had anything, and he was literally huffing. He was jogging in the game. Like you could see him jogging to the sideline. He was, I mean,
The
after
Embiid.
that one touchdown where he got probably the air knocked out of him, where he's just reaching out. Like after that, he had nothing. And shout out to him for even scoring that. But outside of that insane play and like a Matt Collins such a like I'm just saying the scores that the Bills had were really tough. And that first drive from us looked dominant. The rest of it was kind of shaky, but you know, we did what we needed to win. But we definitely underperformed. I don't think I don't know. This might be like a 49ers first year we were doing the podcast. I don't know. This is the first time since our first Super Bowl that I'm not confident that we'll win.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to start doing preview stuff yet, but as somebody who does also really like Mahomes, obviously not a Chiefs fan, but as a Mahomes guy, uh, I'm kind of nervous for this one. But going back to something you said
Yeah.
about Josh Allen not rushing as much too in this game, like one of the reasons he didn't rush as much was obviously because of the pressure that Spags was dialing up in this game.
Yeah.
Like obviously they were getting pressure on him, but just the areas that Spags was actually sending the pressure was like the perfect pressure to like keep Josh Allen moving backwards and not let him outside the pocket to like make plays. Like
No, exactly.
that last fourth down is a perfect example where, yes, I mean, Josh Allen
Yeah.
makes an incredible play there. Like, it's why Josh Allen's a great quarterback all around because he makes a
Yeah.
great throw at the end and the receiver just drops it. But, you know, what was that, like 4th and 5? Like, that could have been
Hmm.
Josh Allen creating with his legs, but he's heaving that up last second because of the pressure that Spags is dialing up. And
And they saved that one too. I think they saved the Chiefs because of our run. We've definitely learned the art of knowing to save stuff for certain moments, and they saved that one.
it's
That
incredible.
was
I mean,
that was
just
something they cooked
your
up for them.
your bigger picture thinking with that stuff too is like
Yeah.
the beauty of Belichick was it like it felt like week to week, right? He could almost morph week to
Hmm.
week, where you're like, it does feel like Andy Reid does it. Like he goes into the season like I spent the off season like cooking up this whole new thing, and like I've got this big game plan for the season, but there's like this A tier list that I'm just not gonna review. Like the fact that they don't even
Yeah, till
it's
the
just
postseason.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even like the end of the season at this point. It's like this is stuff that we're saving for the Super Bowl. Like the fact
Hmm.
that he even has that
Exactly.
level of team building with his confidence, but it's like both are obviously great in at the peak of their powers with the game planning approach, but it does seem like it was a little bit different there with the way that it does feel like Reed is a little like full bigger picture. I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
take that how you
Well,
will,
and
but
that's why we might do something that no one's ever done, because I will say the Patriots remind me a little bit of like younger. They were like, I mean, obviously in the Super Bowl they still won, but they still valued every single regular season game. And I'm not saying the Chiefs don't. I mean, that's why we're 15-2. But there is a different level of research, and because I think
mm-hmm.
Reed, he's free to do just the offense. So he's able to go look at 1968 high school, plays and look at offensive stuff. And Spags is able to do his thing. And they just know as long as we have Mahomes under center, we're getting to the championship game. So what are 20 things that we're gonna cook up to do for those big moments?
Mm-hmm.
And and it's that flair. It's that last bit of flair to it on top of the boring everyday stuff. And I don't think Belichick ever really had that kind of flair. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
he did his great stuff, but at the same time, it's what killed him at the end is that he couldn't delegate. He couldn't delegate. He couldn't have other people handle the defense or the offense or the player development. And that's what killed him at the end. And, with us, that's why our drafts have been hitting so well, because we have people that we trust in the organization to go do these drafts. And that's why we keep having all these players who are, performing well, like Xavier Worthy, the rookie. You see Trent McDuffie. Like you're starting to see these people like Charles, Manu down in the middle.
Yeah.
We're having all these pieces that we drafted because we know how to delegate. And so I just, yeah, I mean, 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. I definitely can feel from the media and people are sitting back and being like, damn, Like
Mm-hmm.
this is actually a dynasty. Like now even people who want to hate are like, okay, like 5 and 6 years, like you can't just neglect that. Like that's a legitimate stat. And yeah, I do think it's insane. I mean, obviously I've been enjoying it, but it's nice to have people be like, okay, like this is, I think getting to the Super Bowl this year, it feels like, okay, like even if, I mean, obviously they should win and we want them to win, but I think even them not winning, like they're cemented as a dynasty. Like there's just no argument.
And obviously, we weren't, you know, as conscious when the Patriots like dynasty first emerged. Like obviously they had
Yeah.
that second dynasty in there with Brady at the end, but at that point it was like the Brady and Belichick thing was established, and they were just building the legacy at that point and just continuing to establish themselves as the greatest of all time. But there does, like you're right, there does seem to be this organizational thing about the dynasty of it, where that Brady Belichick
Mm-hmm.
thing was like it's Brady and Belichick are really awesome, and like yeah, Mahomes is
Yeah.
going to be in the GOAT conversation for the quarterbacks by making the Super Bowl, like just at this point in his career now, obviously. But you're right, it's like the top to bottom, like just operational precision at which you guys operate with is, excellent. It shows you're right in the drafts, but even in the games, where just like you're right at the end of these games, you're executing perfectly, and you guys are always the ones that are making the plays at the end of the games to get the wins. Like I don't know if the GM for the Patriots, like yeah, Belichick had more responsibilities, so maybe, and that's like you just said, like he wasn't able to delegate as well too. So the fact that the Chiefs kind of have that
Yeah.
all pre-delegated is, definitely beneficial for the whole organization. But it's it's like the entire top to bottom team has made this run, not just a couple of guys are great in powering this through. It's the drafts, because I mean this team has shifted so much as well, like you're saying, since they've
Yeah.
originally started. Like the Hill version of this team with
Exactly.
some of the guys in this defense, like Snead was your first couple of corners. Like who were your starting corners for the first Super Bowl run
Well, I don't even know,
against San
man.
Francisco? Like what? Maybe you did have what, Ward and Snead, which was like at one
Yeah.
point, yeah, you did have that as a cornerback duo, where it was like, is this the best cornerback duo in the league? And then now it's like McDuffie is now in conversation for best cornerback duo in the league, like, or best corner, in the league. But the whole thing is just fantastic. But I've just been thinking a lot too about your coaching staff from an organizational standpoint, because obviously we know,
Yeah.
like we're saying, with what Reed provides from an offensive play calling standpoint, the value that he brings. But if Spags was your head coach, like how successful would this team be? Like, and it is a little of the Brady Mahomes thing as well, but just the formula of your defense is always going to be in a position to make stops when it counts, and you have Mahomes at the end of the
Yeah.
day as the offensive guy. Like, could Spags be Belichick if Mahomes is Brady? Like,
No.
could Spags? Do
No,
you
it
think
couldn't.
Spags could be Belichick if he had been the head coach for this run?
No. Also, another thing I forgot, we dropped like 2 interceptions in the first drive. I'm
Yeah,
looking at it
Allen
right
had a
now. I'm
couple of
watching rewatching it.
sketchy
Yeah, like he
throws.
was definitely shook throughout this game. But anyway, and that's the advantage of having the game at home, which I definitely have heard people say. Like they might just have to literally have this game in Buffalo for them to win. Um,
Which they did
but
last year.
yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, they did, and we beat them still. Yeah, thanks. 4-0. But no, you're right. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And here's
No?
why. I mean, Reed is a program builder. Like you just see his personality, who he is, how he is. Like he is a program builder, and the way like the way his attitude is with the whole team, and I'm thinking I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. There was a phrase he had like don't say it's weird or don't say it's different or something, like just pretty much being accepting of stuff and people different ideas and stuff.
Yeah?
And I
Andy Reid,
think
the most open minded coach in the league?
yeah, I think he's just one of the most creative ones in the league. And it's just, I mean, obviously Mahomes being there has helped. I mean, he was a coach for, how many years, and we still were winning our division, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like we were gonna um be anywhere like this. But just to have that mentality of giving Mahomes the openness to really learn and develop. And I think he's been more of a parent for Mahomes than anything, where he's teaching him, he sees this really raw kid from Texas Tech having to fling it around and do whatever he wants. And so like a parent, he's like, all right, I'll let you, we got to keep you within these bounds, but we'll let you sling it around. You'll like let him live and learn. And so throws the 50 touchdowns, has the record season, but, sees the mistakes and sees where like defenses start to catch up. And so then you start seeing Mahomes mature and under Reed, but at the same time, Reed still has that openness to allow for different plays. Like, something that's consistently been said throughout this run is he'll always listen to ideas. Like everyone will have ideas to run plays, and he'll try them out. He'll always try it out. And I think just having that openness and freedom while still having that expectation of winning is why this team can continue to be so good, because you have to evolve. And I think that's one of the parts that people forget about good teams is you have to continue to evolve and continue to, you can't settle on your laurels. And I think that's the problem that the Bills had, is that they're like, okay, we got Josh Allen, we don't need to pay Diggs, we don't have to deal with this crap, like we'll be fine. And the Chiefs had a similar thing, but they didn't have, they actually followed up and got a whole lot of pieces to match up. They went and got Rashid Rice in the draft. They went and got, we also had Sky Moore the year before. They went and got I'm trying to remember what other wide receivers we
Sky Moore,
got.
the
But
one piece in
and
this
this
that
year
just hasn't worked.
exactly. But I'm trying to remember the others that we brought. But yeah, they're not scared to get rid of you if you're not playing up to the level. They'll get. The Chiefs have been cutthroat. We're not playing around. But I know there's a whole lot of other wide receivers. We got Juju last year. Oh yeah, Marcus Valdez Scantling. Helped his career. Like we brought other pieces to support Mahomes, and the Bills just didn't. The Bills just didn't. And so I think that it's Mahomes or Reed's openness to ideas that's kept this team to evolve. And I think, helping on the offensive side, obviously, but I think also to the defensive side and giving that freedom. And so, yeah, I think Spags and Mahomes is like thing would clash just because of how Mahomes, like how he used to play when he was younger. And so just to have that trust in Mahomes to let him grow into the player that he is now, while at the same time, of course, giving him the pieces to help him. Because he has all these pieces, it's given him confidence to a whole nother level, obviously now. Um, and yeah, Reed is a one of a kind coach. He's really a one of a kind coach. I think it took a lot for him to leave Philly, and they went to two championship games. Like he's been a winner wherever he's been, and yeah, and you see the tree of coaches who've come from him, and he's just a special guy too. And that's the point, is there's a lot of special people involved in this progress. So when people say, "Oh, it's just the refs," or it's like no, like I understand, I
But
understand
you don't
like
think Sean
little
Hogley's a
situations.
special person? What's wrong with Sean
Exactly.
Hogley?
So, but it can't all just be the refs. Like there has to be real talent here making this happen.